What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Chaos Zero Nightmare video. Today let's talk all about partners. So I think a lot of y'all might be coming up or already just passed the level 30, excuse me, this is the wrong area, but the level 30 battle pass to claim your partner. And if not, you're coming up on it soon, so we should go ahead and talk about that. Now, don't worry, free to plays or people that didn't buy the battle pass, I will be covering just some of the standout partners that I've experienced that I think are a lot better than others and that you should invest into. And we're going to talk about even some partners that I don't own. So don't worry, this is not just about the battle pass, but in general, let's talk about the powerful partners, the ones that seem a little bit better than their counterparts right now. So thanks so much for tuning in. Let's jump straight into it. First things first, let's talk about the Battle Pass partners. Now, there's a few things in this video that we're going to go over. So I want y'all to take note that if I mention some other partners, we're going to cover them a little bit later. That's going to include 5-star partners that are on the regular banner. And don't worry, there are ways to get them. As I know, I recommended not to pull on the partner banner, at least at the start. You should be pulling on the combatant banner when you're in the early game. But there will be ways via the shops to get those eventually. So I'm going to be comparing those a lot. And don't worry, we're going to also cover the 4 stars and some of the 3 stars that are very standout. But you'll hear me mention other partners, and I'll mention what they're for. But I think that's the main way, is to figure out which of these is best, is to compare them to their specific 5-star partner counterpart. So let's go ahead and just start with Priscilla, who is the striker. We'll go left to right here. Priscilla is the striker partner, and this is going to be for characters like Mei Lin, characters like Rin, characters like Haru. So Haru already is on her banner. It has a much better one, Asteria. You have Mei Lin, who the 4-star Lillian partner I think is very good until you get the Scarlet partner, which is the 5-star version. And once again, don't worry, I'll show you guys where you can pick up the 5-star partners eventually. Overall, and I think her effectiveness or her ego skill too is not the best. I mean, if you guys like Priscilla as just for the looks and you just want to have a 5-star striker partner, you definitely can go for it. All these are decent to very good. But I think Priscilla leans more towards the decent side, and there's a lot better options, especially if you have a very high dupe level 4-star partner, like Lillian for Mei Lin. So, in my opinion, I think Priscilla's on the lower rung of the power levels of these partners just in general. Aishlin is next, guys, and this one could be very strong for Vanguards, unless it's Calipe, in my opinion. So, units like Maribel and units like Magna will be very good, as, this has a lot of counter attack potential. You get the shields and you retain some of it too, defense damage, all nice stuff for our counter Vanguards. However, for Calipe specifically, I think her own partner, level 5 partner, or sorry, tier 5 partner, is that what we call them? 5-star partner, sorry, is much better. And also the 4-star partner, Rachel, the girl with the hamburger, are very, very good for Calipe. And a lot of y'all may have extra copies of Rachel. And I think those are actually going to outperform Aishlin. But if you do play, Magni or Maribel, I think Aishlin does synergize pretty well there, so that could be worth picking up. Next up, guys, we have Solia, who is for the Rangers. This is going to be your extra attack damage, so think units like Selena, units like Veronica, I believe. I just pulled Veronica today, actually. And I think this could be very good. Just in my opinion, personal opinion, the way Veronica and Selena are typically played are more on the sub-DPS role instead of the main DPS role. What that means is you should typically get more value out of getting a partner for your main DPS, typically like a striker, typically like a dedicated hunter. If you play psionic characters, that might be better, as these are usually more assisting and with combined utility. Or they have like a lot of upgrade marks, things that, is not doing direct damage. But overall, this is still very good. And if you do play a lot of those ranger characters, I think Solia is definitely worth looking at. Next up is Sarithia, and this is going to be for hunters. So this one I think it should be good moving forward, and there are obviously characters that scale really well with crit chance. You know who they are. So this one is actually worth considering if you play a lot of hunters. Now overall though, I am leaning still towards the Nyx, which we're going to cover here in a second. But if I had a little more experience playing hunters, I think this one might be worth it if you're playing for the long con, as this is actually a lot of crit chance, and the stacking effect is not too difficult, especially in the longer fights, which happen a lot as you get higher into the chaos difficulties. Second to last, guys, we have Antea, and I kind of did mention this. This is for the psionic characters, and I think this one is also very good. If you play the psionic characters like Tressa, like Kayron, I think this one is highly worth considering. I just personally don't play any psionic units at the moment, and so my choice is going to be for Nyx, and I think this should be for most of y'all if you're on the fence. Now, if any of those characters I listed or those partners, you know, sound good to you, I think it's worth going for. Just wait till you hear me talk about the 5-star partners, as some of them are very strong, and you could save up for that instead, which might help you on your decision. But Nyx, I think moving forward, will be the safest pick for multiple reasons. Number one, overall, I just think between the passive and the ego skill, it's just very generic, or sorry, generic's the wrong word, but very safe, very powerful. It just always is giving value on the passive, both in terms of the offense and defensive portions. And then the discard can come in extremely clutch when you're in one of those scenarios where you just have a really bad hand. You let this baby rip, and you can kind of replace your entire deck for free, or at least your current hand for free +1. So very, very strong overall. And the fact that we need a lot of controllers, right? They're the most commonly played archetype, because you're going to be using your Mikas, your Nias, your Cassiuses, and multiple of them, that I think Nyx is probably the safest and overall best pick of the bunch. But remember, take note, Aishlin, if you play like Magni Maribel, I think most players should avoid Priscilla, but things like Antea for your controllers, or sorry, your psionic characters can be very good. Same thing for Cerithia. So just, you know, take a look at each and every one, and before you decide, wait till I talk about the 5-star partners, which we're going to go over right now. Okay, we're going to go over to the shop section, and I'm going to look at the 5-star and 4-stars that we can get here, because I have some info for y'all, as well as we want to talk about some of the standouts here and why I would consider, you know, the Battle Pass partners to be a little subpar for some of them when compared to the specific 5-star partners for their counterpart. And the reason I can even talk about these, because, you know, I did recommend not pulling on the partner banner, but you will be getting these Moment of the Radiant Heroes whenever you summon on the banners and you pull a 4-star or higher, you know, character partner. You'll get those, and you eventually, even as free to play, you will save up 300. I ended up getting a combatant dupe, but in hindsight, you know, I did get this because Meilin dupe 2 was very nice. And I think there are some characters that this could be worth going for. It is more expensive, and that's one reason I think partners are better to spend with your mileage currency. But if you hit something like a Meilin dupe 2, Haru dupe 2, Calipe, Veronica, some of these dupe 2 breakpoints are very nice. So take note of that, and that could be worth considering. But overall, for most of y'all watching, I think the 300 price point for these partners is incredible. And let's go ahead and talk about them now. I'll also talk about the 4-star partners in the Zeronium Shop right after. So first up, let's just say, for example, we talked about Hysteria for Haru. Let's look at Scarlet real quick. And this is why I said Priscilla from the Battle Pass for Strikers is not as good. Because if you were to just grab eventually or save up for Scarlet for Meilin, you can tell that this is just so much overall, you know, impactful for the character in question, because it was tailor-made for Meilin. But not only that, I think some other units can also use this. I think people were saying like Rin, even though Rin has her own partner, this could be good for her too. I think in general, that's not the important point. It's just that I think these 5-star partners are a lot better overall, with a few exceptions like the Nyx one. So Scarlet, I think, is a standout. Zeta, I mentioned for Calipe. If you just take a look, guys, for Vanguards, this is why I think you shouldn't grab the other partner for Calipe. You want to save up for this one if she is your main. This is tailor-made for, not only can you draw Vulture Launchers straight up with the 2-cost Ego, you can also get, you know, instinct damage, as well as boosting the Celestial, they call it Heaven now, right, from the Vulture Launchers. So as y'all can see, the partners that are dedicated for the character are usually much better than the generic Battle Pass ones, and you guys can save for these even as free to play by saving up the Moments of the Radiant Hero just when summoning. Next up, it's going to branch us into the 4-star discussion, but if you guys didn't know, there are some Zeronium. The Zeronium is the currency you get by doing the, here, I'll show you guys real fast. If we go over to the simulation area, once you guys unlock, I believe at level 30 and 40 respectively, you can head over to the Basin of Hyperspace. Whoops, sorry, misclick. And you can see Dimensional Dawn and Dimensional Twilight. Now, these are on a timer, at least the Dimensional Twilight is, but at level 30, you might have heard in one of my previous videos, but I talked about, you know, there's multiple teams. And by the way, I need to come back here and get these 3 stars. But doing this will get you the Zeronium currency, which you can spend in that shop that I just showed y'all. And then additionally, Dimensional Twilight just opened up for players that are 40 plus, I believe. An additional way to get Zeronium. And the reason this is good is because not only are there great stuff in here to have, but also if we just look at the partners, and this is a partner video, some of these partners that are 4-star are also very strong. So units like partners like Akkad for Renoa could be very, very strong. Although I think Renoa's partner pool is actually very competitive, and I'll talk about a few other ones here in a bit. But characters like partners like Rosaria too for, let's say, I think Veronica could be extremely strong. Units like Selena, we talked about Rangers in the Battle Pass. This is why I think these are just good enough to have instead of going for those Battle Pass Ranger ones for your characters, when instead you can just go for Nyx. Now, Wilhelmina, I don't know if I like this one as much. Maybe since I don't play Magna and Maribel, I opt for Rachel, who I can't show you all here. Actually, I can still. I did buy out this one. I think Rachel is the best Vanguard for Calipe. So if those of you that play Calipe, you can get at least one copy of this in the shop, and I think a lot of y'all may have this. And getting this maxed out will give you a higher chance to counter, more multipliers, just very good overall. So the 4 stars I think are a great what do you call them, like a break point or starting point until you can get the 5-star partners respectively. Now unfortunately we have to look at the other 4 stars because there's some great ones here that are not available, and I'm hoping they rotate these out. So for example, let's go to the agent collection, and if I open up the partner tab, I want to show y'all Lillian. You guys, if you watched my mail-in video, you saw that I'm using this character. Until we get Scarlet, I think Lillian is amazing. And unfortunately, you can't buy her in the Zeronium Shop. Maybe they'll rotate that. But if you're lucky enough to pull this as your 4-star and just summoning in general, I think these are amazing. And I think this is even better. Maybe I shouldn't say better, but this is very good compared to like the Priscilla. So once again, why maybe you should avoid the Striker, Battle Pass Priscilla, and instead grab Lillian in the meantime, and then go for Scarlet when you can, if strikers are your main DPS. Now additionally, Arwen and Alyssa I think are good. I think Arwen is a little bit better overall compared to Alyssa, but these are both 4-star supporters, or I keep calling them supporters, but controllers that are usually for supports that are great to invest into. Now I think Yvonne, let's just go ahead and cover all the rest of the characters, is decent enough, especially if you don't play any attack cards. But in general, the 4 stars are going to be a little bit better for the most part than the 3-star counterparts. So COD I talked about, or did I think this is what I'm using for Renoa. This is also a very good one if you have that. And in general, if you pick up these 4 stars, you should be getting a lot of dupes whenever you do summons. Characters like Carity can be also good for Renoa. I just hate the way that one looks. But you have a bunch of standouts here. We talked about Rosaria for the Ranger slot. Some of these 4 stars can be competitive and great placeholders, or even comparable to those 5-star battle passes at dupe 1. So take note of which ones you have, how many dupes you have for them. That could also once again help you infer and you know, decide which battle pass partner you should pick up. So in closing, guys, at the top here, Nyx, if you just want a easy answer, I think will be safe for most players to just pick up. But take note of units like Antea, maybe Aishlin if you're not playing Calipe and you're playing Maribel or Magna. So I think the main one though is, like, I think Priscilla is just not very good, especially compared to Scarlet and compared to Lillian, which can be a placeholder striker. Some of them are definitely better than others, but ultimately I think it's not the biggest deal to kind of just pick one that synergizes with your main playstyle. Just, I want y'all to take notes of how many dupes you have for the 4 stars especially, and you can use those in the meantime. And then with that mileage shop, right, you can start getting characters like Scarlet for your Mei Lin, Marianne for your Rins, Zeta for your Calipes, etc. and so forth. So ultimately, I want y'all to have all the knowledge to make your decision. Once again, if you don't know what to pick, just pick Nyx. Otherwise, kind of break it down, see what dupes you have in the meantime. And once again, you can wait as long as possible on the battle pass until you really know for sure. So just have fun with it, guys. Get a good partner, and thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.